Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here, Wisdom in Golf, headquartered at the Richmond Hill Golf Learning Center. Now, a real key video today, number 3 in our top 10 in the last 10 years, compression, smash factor, okay? How do you maximize that? And we talked about, how the ball comes off the face and all that. And we talked about a few techniques in that original video. And this is, I'm going to add a few really key aspects to that right now, okay? So, number 1, from our last video, we talked about how get out of the way creates a ball on a string. So, I got my ball on a string. I give it to gravity. Gravity tracks it. And now what's really cool is that gravity is placing this. So the G-forces of this swing are placing this ball. I want to go faster. My brain reacts to the pull of the ball and it knows when to push or pull. So the ball is going up, I'm pulling down, and the ball is down, I'm pulling up. So there's an up and down flow to this. Now I can add it on the way down as well. So that really helps turbocharge the G-forces of this swing. So in the golf swing, you've got an arm that can be turbocharged as well. All you got to do is, go to a horseshoe tournament or toss a few hammers in the backyard, get a nice 3-pound hammer at Home Depot, and feel that you're going to launch this hammer, a few yards into the backyard. And then you'll notice that if you want to go further, your legs are going to be involved in that process. So the legs are what comes down. So as it's up, I'm coming down, that pulls the hammer down. And as it's down, it's coming down, I push off the ground, I'm turbocharging the velocity of the swing. Now, when I do that, the grip pressure intensifies. So if you don't have a sound grip that we talked about in our first video, you're going to be at a massive disadvantage when it comes to compressing the ball or taking a divot. So when somebody asks me, Shawn, I don't take many divots and I don't have a lot of distance. Well, the first thing I look at is the grip and how they're loading and unloading and the grip pressure. And I asked them, well, how firmly are you holding the grip? He says, oh, soft, very soft, like a bird. Well, I said, well, right now you're letting go of the bird's flying away. And they go, okay. So if I'm holding it so light, the brain says, well, if I take a divot, I'm going to hurt myself. But as soon as you intensify, so right now, if you take that ball on a string and you go very lightly, right now, my grip pressure feels like at about a 2 out of 10. Increase. Feels like a 4. Increase. Feels like a 7. Increase. Feels like a 10. So my grip pressure will have to adjust depending on the G-forces that are exerted in the swing. Well, guess what? You're already wired for that. This sucker, 12 million things per second, it knows exactly what's going on. You just got to give it the right task and be prepared for the task and not have all these preconceived notions polluting and infecting your system, okay? So, we have a ball and a string, and we have a wiffle ball. Well, look at that. So if you take a wiffle ball, very light, it's basically like taking a practice swing with no ball. So when you take a practice swing, so out of the way and give that sucker a ride, you feel that grip pressure intensify as you allow the arms to swing very freely. So then you put a wiffle ball in the way. You say, okay, I'm going to let it swing, and your brain goes, well, I don't expect to see much resistance there, so off it goes. Now, put a volleyball in the way. Don't use anything heavier than a volleyball because I don't want you hurting yourself, but typically a volleyball you're going to be safe. So you close the face so you can cradle that volleyball nicely. And now you're getting ready, you take that ball on a string and you give it a nice twirl towards a specific target. You say, okay, now you're anticipating a lot more resistance. So all of a sudden your grip pressure intensifies and you're going to give it a nice swing. But now you're anticipating quite the pummel, aren't you? So you'll notice that The volleyball prepares you in a very different way. I very much do not advocate that you use an impact bag, because an impact bag stops you at impact. I don't want any stoppage there. I want you to be allowed to continue to swing freely to a target. We cannot be allowed to stop here where the ball is. How are you supposed to clear the body and shift your weight and do any of that stuff when you got an obstacle? So it's like, trying to chop down a tree with an axe, and you're at the beginning of the cut. Now, at the end, where the axe is going to continue through, you'll notice that your body language changes a little bit. So the volleyball now, then take a golf ball. You say, okay, well now that feels like a lot less resistance. So if I make a practice swing from up here, I feel like there's not going to be any resistance at all. If I bring it down here, it feels like I'm going to top it. If I bring it down lower, it feels like the sole of the club is going to cut grass, and now the ball feels like it's going to compress against the face of the club. So I give it to gravity, let gravity take it to the target. Now I feel like I've got that nice compression. I'm mashing up against the golf ball nicely, and I'm able to predict that I'm going to have this beautiful sounding and penetrating ball flight and that nice marshmallow feel against the club face. So that's something that you predict. Now, if you do this, well, I predict that the planet's going to be in my way, so now you're going to ease up on that velocity, aren't you? If you ease up on the velocity, then you're not going to be able to compress the ball as well. If you don't have momentum toward the target, well, see, remember we talked about the hammer before. So if I get my hammer back here again, and I wanted to hammer something in that direction, right? I want to hammer into the door frame. Well, wouldn't that be the way I would go in? If I take it inside, now I'm glancing across, massive loss of compression. If I go from outside in, massive loss of compression. If I default to the ball and go straight up and down, well, hitting more downwards is not going to help your compression. It's still a glancing blow. So, these outfits that talk about hit down, damn it. Well, that's the thing. It's just an improper use of the tool. We got the wrong task. We want to go that way. So if I want to mass or compress the ball, mash it up that way, well, I want to use the full arc of my swing. Look at Bubba. Huge circle. Bubba's just trying to make a big circle. Same thing with Jack. And then yet, when I'm making a big circle, everybody thinks, oh, that swing is way too steep. No, it's wide. Wide is up. Let me explain. This is really, really key information, you guys, okay? So if I take my arm and swing it as far away from that center as possible, notice it can't go that way. It gets pulled up. It gets pulled into a circle. So if all I do is I go wide in the direction I want that ball to go, that would be way too far right. That would be way too far left. That would be into the ground. I don't want to go to the ground. I want to go target. I want to send it that way. Okay. Yes, that's going wide. Good. Now it feels like I can go that way. So if I'm going that way properly, then I'm going to maximize, you hear that? I'm going to maximize the compression that's coming off that club head. Because shorter clubs like wedges, you're going to be a lot closer to the ball. It's going to swing more vertically naturally. You will naturally hit down on the ball. You don't have to worry about it. And as you get to longer clubs, like a 1-iron, so if I take a 1-iron here, and for those of you who've never seen what a 1-iron looks like, here is a classic. There's a Mizuno 1-iron. There's the one off the right. It's got very little loft. It's basically the same as a 4-wood. So how do I maximize? The greatest lesson Mo Norman ever got from Sam Snead at the Masters was hit your long irons like your fairway woods. Well, fairway woods are nice and wide, and the swing naturally will take, if you want to hit your fairway woods properly, you want to have a nice wide arc. It's the same thing with the 1-iron. So if I just go wide into the backswing, wide into the follow-through, hear that sound? You're going to have beautiful contact with that 1-iron. Wide, wide. So, isn't that fun? Now, the fairway woods are very much the same, even if I wanted to hit a driver off the deck. Now, notice Bubba's been, classified as one of the best drivers off the deck. But he has a so-called, very steep swing. It doesn't have a steep swing. He's got a wide swing with a big circle. Well, that wide circle is going to stay along the ground for a very long period of time and generate momentum toward the target. So here's a 9-degree driver. And all I got to do is let the sole of the club, hear that sound? See how it glided nicely across the surface of the ground? It's like an airplane coming in, a pontoon plane coming in for a landing on water. They're not going to come in this way, right? And they're not going to come down below and come back up. You can't go below the water. You're just going to come along in a nice, wide, shallow motion and just glide along the surface of it. So we're doing the same thing here. We're going wide into the backswing, wide into the follow-through. Hear that sound? Doesn't that feel great? Right in the center of that club face. So if the sole of the club glides along the ground, the ball gets to hit the face. Okay? So that's what's going to maximize your smash factor. We're going that way. We're using a nice wide arc, a nice ball and a string to swing along the surface of the ground in that direction. You will then maximize your smash factor. Enjoy.